Hello everyone, it's Molly here for another video, and this one is a Q&A. I feel like I haven't done one of these in a while, and this one's a little different. Usually I tweet out or put on my Facebook page that I'm doing a Q&A video and send in your questions, but this time I just went through my YouTube comments on different videos and grabbed some comments that I just thought were interesting questions, and then others that are very commonly asked questions, and these are all blindness related questions. So, before I get into it, I have my sheet of Braille here. It matches my shirt. And I just brailled out the questions. I typed them out on my computer from YouTube, and then I used my voiceover reader to then read them to me so I could Braille them. So, usually, if I'm reading Braille that I don't know what it says prior, I'm really slow at reading Braille. You other Braille readers, you get me. But because I typed this out like a few hours ago, I should be pretty quick at reading it. Fingers crossed. So the first thing I wanted to mention is I get the constant question of how do you do your makeup? Do you do your own makeup? Who does your makeup for you? So I will link my makeup tutorial, blind girl makeup tutorial, down below. I also get asked a lot about how I use technology, linked below that video. And I've also been getting asked a lot about my dreams. Do I see in my dreams? What are my dreams like? Do I still dream as a blind person? I've already answered that question in a previous Q&A, I believe, a long time ago. So I will link that Q&A down below as well. So that answers all of those questions. And then now we'll just jump right into it because I'm sure this video will be long. Number one was a question asked by Kyle Booker. And the question was, do you prefer to read books in Braille or in audiobooks? I definitely, without a doubt, would say audiobooks. Again, I think any Braille reader understands me on this one. I'm going to do an entire video dedicated to how I learned Braille, the code of Braille, how it works, what it's like to read, all that jazz, so I won't go into too much depth here. But Braille is a very cumbersome language. It's not easy to read, even for the best of Braille readers. Audiobooks are just a lot easier. Audiobooks come with flaws as well. It's definitely a lot easier to fall asleep in the middle of chapter 3 and wake up 5 hours later and have no idea, and the book just kept playing, and now you have to try to figure out where you left off and the last thing you remember hearing and where that is in the audiobook. So there's definitely challenges. Sometimes you really want to read an audiobook and the narrator voice is horrible. There's lots of challenges, but definitely I would rather audiobooks. I've done a Molly's Top 5 authors and books video. I'll link that down below. Please send me recommendations for your favorite audiobooks. I use Audible. I love it. Definitely a big fan of it. I'm not sponsored by them, to be clear. I know 1,000,001 YouTubers are. I am not one of those. So definitely Audible audiobooks is my jam. Number 2 is a question from Rachel Lee, and she asked, is there such thing as a Braille computer? So I think this is a really interesting question, again, since I get asked so much about technology. There is such thing as Braille keyboards, so you can, I believe you can just buy a Braille keyboard, but you can also buy stickers, Braille stickers that you just have somebody stick onto your keyboard. So you can do it either way. I had a Braille keyboard in grade 4, I remember. Miss White's classroom. Anyways, so I had a Braille keyboard back then when I was still learning how to touch type. Now I know how to touch type, so I don't need a Braille keyboard for my computer. I can just fluently type. But back then when I was still learning my touch typing classes, I did have a Braille keyboard, and prior to my Braille keyboard, I had a large print keyboard. So the letters were far larger than they are on a standard keyboard, and they were big enough for me to read when I was younger. But then there's also something called a Braille display or a Braille note. And these are basically fully functioning computers with a Braille display instead of a screen. So it's not something like a laptop that flips up. It's about this big. I don't know what reference to give to blind viewers, but if you're a blind viewer, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And you can get them with either a regular keyboard, a computer keyboard, or Braille keys. I prefer Braille keys on them. I don't currently have one, but I have in the past. I prefer to have Braille keys because I type faster on a Braille keyboard than a regular keyboard, even though I'm a very fast touch typer. I also find it difficult for my brain to transition between I'm reading the Braille and then I'm typing with a regular keyboard. It's easier for me to read Braille, type on Braille, read Braille, type with Braille. And basically, yeah, on Braille Displays, you can do anything you could do on a computer. You can check your emails, you can go on iTunes, you can surf the internet and watch videos. It just doesn't have a screen, it just plays the audio. You can connect to the internet. I feel like I already said send emails, but you can send emails if I didn't already say that. And yeah, instead of coming out in print on a screen, it comes out with Braille pins. So the pins basically just keep popping up through these little holes. It's very hard to describe. I'll put an image of a Braille note or Braille display up here somewhere. Alright, number 3. This one, I don't remember who asked it, I'm sorry. What is the best way to approach a blind person? Great question. This is one of those things where back when I was younger, every new school year, I would go into every single class and explain to people this. Every camp I went to growing up, I would explain this. Every job I've ever worked in an office, I explain this. This is what I always say. The best way to approach me as a blind person, if you see me on a regular basis, is to say, "Hey, Molly," so I know you're talking to me. "It's Sarah," so I know who's talking to me. If you just say, "Hey, what's up?" I don't know that you're looking at me and saying it to me. You could be saying it to anybody else in this hallway or this classroom or this... Yeah. So I don't know that you're talking to me. So the best thing is to reference my name and to reference your name. And that way it gives me a chance to learn your voice to your name. Because I can't do face to name recognition like a sighted person can. I need to do voice to name recognition. The only way I can actually do that is every time we have a conversation, for the first number of conversations, you say, "It's Sarah." But then there's scenarios where I'll also memorize somebody's voice to a scenario. So if I memorized your voice to my science classroom, because that's the only place I see Sarah, if you say hi in the hallways and don't say your name anymore, I'm not going to know it's you because you're out of context, if that makes sense. I know that's very complicated, but that's definitely the best way to interact with blind people, is to always say your name and their name. And I can't even tell you how many times I've been walking down a street and somebody's been like, "Hey, how are you?" And I don't want to look rude, so I'm like, "Oh, I'm good, how are you?" And then it turns out they're like on a phone, and I'm like, "Oh, that's embarrassing." I'm pretty sure every blind person has done that at least 10 times. And then the best way to approach a blind person on a street corner or a random blind person in public that you see who might be struggling, you might want to help them with something or ask them a question, whatever it might be. The best thing to do is to walk up and place your hand on their shoulder. Again, not every blind person might like this, but most blind people I know prefer you to do it like this. It's very scary if you walk up and just like start talking to us, or again, we don't know you're talking to us, and if it's a random person, you don't know the name. So just put your hand on their shoulder, somewhere, don't touch them somewhere awkward, don't touch them aggressively, don't be abrasive with it, just like a gentle touch on the shoulder, and as soon as you're touching them on the shoulder, you say, "Hi, would you like some help? Hi, I've noticed, you've been standing on the street corner for a while, do you need help crossing?" Anything like that. And then, if they say yes, you can offer them your elbow. Please don't grab them by the hand. Please don't push them by their back. Offer them your elbow to do proper sighted guide. There's nothing more scary than a stranger grabbing your hand and dragging you, than a stranger pushing you. We don't want to hold your hand. It's weird. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. Let me just grab the back of your elbow, walk one step behind you, similar to the way with a guide dog. I grab a harness and stand one step behind, and you can guide me across the street. If I say no, it means no, I'm fine, I don't need help. So take it for what it is. Don't force your help on a blind person. Oftentimes we don't need it. And if we do need it, oftentimes we'll just ask. Number 4. This was asked by Adrian Perez. And he said, he or she, Adrian, could be a boy or a girl name. What is the last thing you remember seeing before going blind? This is a really good question that I often get asked, and honestly, there is no last thing I remember seeing because my vision didn't just go overnight. Some blind people lose their vision to surgery gone wrong, and they literally, they've gone into surgery with sight, they wake up without it. That's an instantaneous thing, and they might remember the last thing they saw. Mine was a slow progression. Mine slowly diminished, it faded away, it caved in, so there's no one last thing I saw. I can tell you that the last favorite color I ever had was the color purple, which is why it's my branding, all of the branding on my website, business cards, logos, is all purple. And yeah, so I still to this day say that purple is my favorite color. Next question, number 5, Harry Betts, I think. Is there a chance you could lose the light and shadow perception you have left? And yes, there is. I could be what a sighted person would view as totally blind. I could be that. I could lose everything and be in, again, quotes, total darkness. Right now I'm medically considered totally blind because I don't have significant usable vision. I can't see colors. I can't read print. So, but yeah, no, there is definitely a chance that I could lose everything I have left. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen though, because that would be difficult. But I have noticed this past year or so my light perception is diminishing. So, that's too bad. Number 6 was asked by Jordan Sevens? Sir? I don't know. And this one was a funny question. Don't you feel self-conscious filming in front of other people? So if I know other people are around and I'm filming. So when I'm filming in my back garden, it's my back garden. There's a fence around it. For the most part, people can't see me. But I'm shameless with vlogging. I'll vlog in front of anybody. I'll vlog at a restaurant, in a shopping mall, on a street corner. I'm not self-conscious with vlogging. If you want to watch my Follow Me Around vlogs, linked below the playlist. But yeah, I'm shameless. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. I'm not embarrassed. To be honest, as a blind person who walks around my entire life all the time with a guide dog, or even with a cane, I'm used to being stared at. Number 1, I can't even see them staring, so like I don't know what's happening. It doesn't faze me. It bothers the people around me more than it bothers me. But the reality is my entire life I've been stared at everywhere I go because I'm different. People don't see a young girl walking around with a giant dog everywhere. So for that reason, I'm used to being stared at whether I have a camera in front of my face or not. So why not vlog at the same time and give them even just one more thing to stare at me for? And at the end of the day, I host a television show, AMI This Week, linked below, and I have often had to film in public areas with a giant crew around me, which is even more obvious. You know, there's camera crews and tripods and lights and sound people and directors, and you know, I just view it as doing my job. It doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. I'm just doing what I have to do. I never feel uncomfortable, you know, taking photos in public that I'm gonna tweet out for you guys. I just view it as me doing my job, so it doesn't make me uncomfortable, and I can't see them doing it. And even if I wasn't doing those things, they would stare anyways. So, yeah. That's the final question for this Q&A. If you have questions for future videos, definitely tweet them my way. Let's use something really original, like hashtag #AskTheBlindGirl. That's the new Molly Q&A hashtag. Hashtag #AskTheBlindGirl. And then anytime I want to do a Q&A, I'll most likely just click hashtag #AskTheBlindGirl and see what pops up. See what you guys are curious about. I love answering your questions, some of which I think are so creative and are things to me that are just so obvious I wouldn't even think that a sighted person would wonder or be interested or want to know about it, because it's just so natural to my life and way of living. But I see that you guys are interested, and I think that's awesome, and I thank you for being open and asking these questions and wanting to learn. I think it's awesome. Alright, so that's the end of this Q&A video. Please thumbs it up if you enjoyed and learned something new. Subscribe if you want to join the family and be updated when my next video is out. And I'll see you next time. Bye guys!